Hi, my name is Brandon and I'm an alcoholic and addict in recovery. Today I want to talk about defending yourself. My son's in karate and he's 6, so he's having a hard time understanding when it's appropriate to defend himself and when it's appropriate to go tell an adult, hey, I need help, someone's doing something I don't like. And what we've told him is the answer is when you're in school is pretty much always go find an adult and tell them. He's young enough that adults are always around. And when I told him that, he said, well, what about you, Dad? What if someone attacks you? What's right for you to do? And I said, well, in most situations, if someone physically attacked me, there would not be someone else I could go tell or ask for help. Usually when adults are in those situations, they are in a situation where they have to defend themselves. But as a child, when you're in school, go find someone who can help you. And this came up for me in a very different way at a meeting recently. I realized that I was feeling very defensive of my pride and my ego. And it just highlighted something that I've been taught and learned throughout recovery, which is pride and ego are very, very, very rarely, if ever, worth defending. Those two things don't need to be defended, because as long as you are spiritually whole and you're doing the right things in life, then you have no need to defend those things. Anything anybody says or thinks can't really hurt you inside. And so I found myself I think that there was someone who misunderstood something that I was saying and felt like I needed to be taught something out of the big book of Alcoholics Anonymous. And I found myself, I don't think they fully listened to what I was saying. And I found myself very much wanting to defend my pride and my ego. And that was the red flag for me, is that, I felt that pride and that ego be threatened by this person. And I have to be familiar with that feeling. And if I think back through my life, I can think of thousands of examples where I've had that feeling. In recovery, I have to get to a point where I let go of the need to defend. It certainly makes sense in some situations to clarify if someone's misunderstood something I said. In this situation, it didn't. I just very politely said thank you to the person. I said thank you for sharing, and it was awesome to hear what you had to say, and then moved on. But I still found that wounded pride and ego is still there, and that's a good sign to me that there's still things I need to work on in that area of myself. And so I think for me, finding those times where I feel the need to defend, finding those times where I'm on guard or feeling defensive or scared, where there's nothing to be defensive about or scared of, those are great signposts for me of places where I need to work a little bit more on myself spiritually in life. And I look for those things as I'm going through life. Another example is if I'm anxious about going to a social gathering, and this has happened less and less as recovery's gone on, but I used to, in my addiction, get so anxious about going to social gatherings. And now, if I do get anxious about that, I kind of have to take a step back and say, well, what are you worried about? And really get to the bottom of what I'm concerned about. And usually it's I'm worried that people are going to like me. And I have to let go of that. I have to not worry about that. If people don't like me, that's their business. That's not my business. Best thing I can do is treat other people with love, kindness, be curious about their lives, ask questions about them, and try to interact with them from a place of love rather than a place of using them or just having them as, props in the story of my life. If I do that, then there's nothing to be worried about. So anytime these kinds of feelings come up, I can use those as ways to highlight places in my recovery, in my spiritual growth, that I need to put a little bit more attention. And that makes those things all the more useful. I've really gotten to a point where anytime I feel an emotion that is unpleasant, for example, resentment, anger, fear, envy, anytime I feel an emotion like that, I look at that as a learning opportunity. That's an opportunity for me not to try to look outside of myself to see what needs to be fixed, but to look inside myself and see what have I not let go of? What am I not surrendering? What kind of willingness have I not yet brought to the table that I am still feeling this emotion? And I can use those things as tools, as stepping stones. One of my friends in recovery put a great quote about using things like this as stepping stones in the journey of recovery, so that I can actually grow rather than continue to be bogged down by these feelings and emotions. So that's it for today. I hope you have a great day, and I'll be back here tomorrow with more.